First of all, I want to thank you for being here on a Sunday at 2 in the afternoon. I want to thank you, the artist, has been an honor to work with him, and the museum, which has taken the risk to move forward with a proposal that it's not conventional within conceptual art. I wish to thank also Raima and Jorge, who will be part of the performance, and Carla, who's been our technical support not only on this but on many issues. The first thing I want to say, when we talk about performance, we're in risky business. We're in a very undefined situation because there's the lack of the history of art to validate whatever happens. We're talking basically of 80 years of experience with important imbalances of what performance is. The second issue is that we have a big problem since Immanuel Kant, in his philosophical theory, decided to place that artists were elevated as genius and that only special people could understand what artists would do. Since that has become the cover for many artists who are not artists, trying to exemplify that what they do is highly relevant, but people don't understand. So first of all, Immanuel Kant was wrong. Art is a process of creation in which a selected group of people have the blessing from God, from nature, from whatever you want, to create in a special way. Second, they learn to handle the media that will best express what they want to communicate. And third, they become communicators. I think that's the story of art. And the rest of ours are the audience. A second element I want to introduce, even among curator, is the very dangerous presence of a creature called curator, which now we curate dinners, we curate parties, everybody curates. And the business of art keeps itself very simple from the beginning. It's a communion between the artist and its audience. And what the curator has to do is facilitate that experience. I'll try to advance today a little bit on that. With Rolando Pena, I consider, based on the research I've done, that he's one of the most relevant conceptual artists from Latin America, who has not gotten the recognition because, again, in art today, if you don't sell, sometimes recognition becomes slower. I see it from the side of art history. He has introduced significant elements to the history of art on this part of the continent. And I'm proud to have been his curator on this experience, and I'm proud to close the exhibition with a short lecture. If we can have the next. First of all, we all have the idea that performance is something that it's around the corner. No, it's not around the corner. It's always been there. And there was the Dadaist and the Surrealist who really got obsessed with the idea that the possibilities of communication in art had to exceed the canvas. So the first considered relevant performance is from Malevich, which is have a theater experience, have a painting performance experience. So we're talking of about almost 100 years of experiments going on. Next. And then I want you to read two quotes that I find significant when we talk about art. One is Marina Abramovic, who we all know, relevant performance figure, who says, "Theater is a fake. The knife is not real. The blood is not real. And the emotions are not real. Performance is just the opposite. The knife is real, the blood is real, and the emotions are real." That's a significant element about performance. Is the artist acting directly, using not a canvas, not a space, but his body and his mind as the surface in which he expresses the artistic experience. So it's quite different from the idea of dance, theater, and other ways of performance. It's the artist itself who transforms into the media, the message, and the final communication. And then there's another quote by Cynthia Post Hunt, a performance artist and photographer, who says, part of performance art is the unknown, the unexpected. You can stop by and check one out and then know that the next one is going to be completely different, as it happens with a painting, as it happens with a sculpture. Next, please. And then I want to go into the formal concept that is usually accepted, that says that performance is a form of experimental contemporary art which was inspired by the contemporary art movement. Performance art is characterized by its being live. The artist interacts with the audience in a more personal way, and often the artists are the art. That's the essence of performance, that the artist conveys the art. And that's an issue that it's important. In the 21st century, there are three elements that live in the world of art in a permanent connection: the artist, the curator, and the collector. Once the piece of art that we're talking about, in this case a performance, is not a market value component, then it's put aside by the world of the art. Today we have many people who start talking about art by the value of the art piece, not about its component, its significance. So performance has a bit of a problem here. How do you place performance in an art fair? And now we're having Art Basel, and I don't think we'll see much performance. How do you hang it? How do you turn it into a property? So it's a very complex field when we're talking about performance, because it's basically the artist exposing itself to the experience with the audience. I have three examples here to make it short. One is Transfixed by Chris Borden, in which in the 70s he decided that we were still in the middle of Vietnam War, rallies in the cities because of civil rights. It was a conflicting America, and probably as divided as we are now. And he said, well, art should express the pain that we're living as Americans. So that performance that he did in the 70s, it was a Volkswagen in California, where he was hammered, literally hammered to the Volkswagen, like a Christ, and the Volkswagen was pulled into a garage. Suddenly the door would open, come out, and people would say, wow, what is this? That's a significant element, the interpretation of differences and conflicts in everyday lives of the people. The second one is Maria Teresa Hincapié, who decided that she was a permanent performance and that everywhere she would go, she would perform. It's the idea that performance is timeless. It happens all the time. And Miami is a city of performance from another perspective, but I'll talk about that when we close. And then Rolando Pena, who has basically taken the elements that signify the economic, political, and social components of the world and turned it into icons and symbols. And as Andy Warhol turned the Campbell soup into an icon of popular consumption, Rolando has taken the oil barrel as a significant element of the economic differences we live today. If we get the gold barrel, which is the richness, but the barrel is also the symbol of the conflict that we live. There's wars because of oil. There's been killings. There's been everything because of oil. 6,000 products are related to it. Even surgical and chemical elements that we use in our everyday lives. So we are oil addicts, but we question it. So that contradiction is what Rolando Pena has brought in and turned it into a universal icon, which I find it significant. And I always ask myself, Warhol is recognized because he's part of the Western world tradition. Rolando has to be recognized as part of the peripheral tradition. Next. Here's a list, which I will not read, of coincidence of elements that constitute a performance. Basically, what you understand from this is that performance is not a formal exercise of presentation. It's a way of experiences between the audience and the artist. Next. And then jumping into Rolando. Rolando is a quiet, complex creature to interpret when you do research and art history. Because he's not only a performance artist, he's overall a conceptual artist, but he's a social related artist. He's a researcher. He has gone on the verge between art and science. And I think that he has liberated himself from the experience of the modernist artist. The modernist artist was defined in 18th and 19th century as someone who had to be specialized, because the industrial world was coming in, and if you were a welder, you were a welder. If you were an engineer, you were an engineer. If you were a medical doctor, you were a medical doctor. We started to fragment and specialize everything in life. That's one of the components of modernism. We needed to catalog everything in life. And the artists went through that process. If you're a painter, don't you dare do anything else. If you're a sculptor, don't you dare get a pencil. So Rolando becomes an artist who relates more to the idea of the Renaissance, where you experiment everything, like Leonardo did, like Michelangelo did. It was the exercise of curiosity turned into metaphor, turned into a symbol that then would communicate with the rest of the people. So there are four components to understand his presence in performance and conceptual art. First, the body as an experimental territory. I don't think Rolando ends up his artistic work at a certain moment and becomes a regular citizen. He's always working as an artist. When you talk with him, when you have arguments with him, when you have moments of exchange, he's conscious that his body is a machine of producing ideas in a constant way. That's an important condition for conceptual and performance art. Performance art is not theater. It's not film. The second element is awareness of the context and activism. In the 1980s, Rolando Pena presented that oil tower right in front of the Twin Towers. Where are the Twin Towers? Gone. Who generated the terrorist attack? Middle East. What is Middle East? Oil. What has been oil? A permanent conflict between the Western and the Middle East because of power. If by accident, if by suspicion, if whatever reason, he created icons that anticipated a situation that came. And that's important in art. The other element is understanding of the artistic moment. Rolando went dancing, did film, did experimental art, did soap operas, anything you can imagine, trying to understand and find his final language in art. Since the 20th century, that is important in art. So he was involved with Mercer Cunningham, with Vito Acconci, with Andy Warhol, in different experiments and experiences that gave him, coming from the peripheral world, an experience that did not put geographical boundaries, but that became a global exercise when nobody was talking about global. He started doing the first photomaton pictures in those booths that we had in the 60s and the 50s that we would go in, put a quarter, and we get a lot of pictures. He started experimenting with that, which is the archaeology of the selfie. And the interaction with different media and narratives. I was very young, much younger than him, when we lived in the same city, and suddenly the Super 8, which is very important in film because it was their first experience where production of film was personal, was a unique experience for everyone. And suddenly you had a film festival in Venezuela where people like Lenny Lipton from Los Angeles, Julio Neri, who's here from Venezuela, very important people in film, started to produce an art festival with Super 8. And Rolando was a significant component of that. And I remember his film, which was called La Cotorra, which in English must be something like, you know, the chatting, something like that, which was basically explaining dialogues of affection and difference using the urban context. So once again, we have all the elements here that create a strong base of conceptual art and performance. Next. And from the curatorial perspective, I find very interesting that for him, there's no divisions. There's no divisions of what he creates on paper, or what he creates on a photograph, or the way he reacts. And I think that a performing artist needs to have the consciousness of the personality. And this might sound obvious, but we don't find that strength in painting or photography or the other media who have been taken over by collectors and dealers and who impose personality patterns. Do you all agree that Jeff Koons' artwork is the best in the world? I doubt it. But then, Gagosian has established a very strong personality marketing strategy. When we talk about conceptual art and performance, it's a whole different field. So the personality of Rolando, connected with what he believes, makes his performance and conceptual art platform. As performance is appropriation of the relation between the audience and the artist, installation, which has been another component from him, is the appropriation of space. Why do I bring these two elements here? Because unfortunately, once again, we have that many people who don't have the blessing of God or nature to be an artist, the media being handled. If you're a painter, you have to know how to paint. If you're a drawer, you have to know how to draw. If you're a photographer, you have to know how to do photography. If you do installation, you have to understand the space. And if you do performance, you have to understand the body as a way of interaction between the artist and the people. Unfortunately, many artists go, well, not many, I don't know the statistics, go through painting, can't make it, go through photography, can't make it, and then go and create horrible, disorienting experiences of installation art and performance, which then complicates the world for the general audience to understand what's good and what's bad. But that's another discussion, what's good and what's bad in art. And in Rolando's installations, not only as curator, but from a personal perspective, I find that his experience about the vision of the world is similar to Ridley's Blade Runner film. He's trying to place us in conflict with ourselves between the well-being and the contradiction of the environment ending the world. We question the oil companies because they contaminate. But we have a great car. We don't go on bicycles. That contradiction is what he's handling. It's basically putting us to think through visual elements, through the body, through performance. Next. And when I said before that Miami is a performance city, and I will not put the two performers of last week or this week, but let's be very clear. Our actual president, we like it or not, was a performer. And we can do all the theories we want about why Hillary Clinton lost and why Donald Trump won, but this was an emotional experience. And this is the result. So we'll have 4 years of great performances from both sides. Politicians do performance. People in Miami do performance because the context determines. We always talk with people, or we sit in a cafe and we listen here, everybody has a big, big business of millions. But that's a bit unfair. And basically then you say, well, why if we have everybody's a business, successful businessman, we're the 8th poorest city in the country? How many guys don't have a great BMW, but they eat Big Macs so they can pay? That's performance. It's basically trying to show a vision to the outside world of what we believe should be communicated. So the world in 21st century, with Twitter, with Facebook, with everything, it's a performance. Being a performance, I have 1,000 friends, tells my daughter. Have you met them? Have you shaken hands? No, but they're on Facebook. That's a performance. I have 1,000 friends. I don't use Facebook for privacy reasons, and I have 5 friends. So, in this context of accelerated communication, the presence of the artist itself and what he represents, that we can touch him, we can feel him, we can see him smiling, getting angry, it's essential to the experience of performance. And you can use it for other means and win an election, or for whatever you want. Next, please. Again, the relevance of Rolando is the combination of elements in which performance is always present and conceptual art. But overall, something very important, the capacity to research. An artist who does not research is not an artist. The fields of abstraction in thought, in science and art are the same. An idea comes, I think it over, I wake up at 3 in the morning, keep thinking it over, I turn it into an idea, I start experimenting, I start to research, I create a prototype, I create a final product and communicate it. If that process is not happening, then it's not art. And that process has been present in Rolando during, I don't know how many years, decades. That's why he has gotten a Guggenheim Foundation research scholarship. He has worked with IBM trying to understand how art relates to the world of science and technology, which permeates every component of our life today. The other element, he's being known everywhere in the world. He has shown his artwork in the National Gallery in Washington or in Paris in important spaces. I must say that I feel very honored and very happy to have curated this show, and quite unhappy how the critics responded, not covering how I wished and thought would happen. But we get used to it. We get used to it in a city like Miami and like many other cities, where those who write and criticize play it safe. And when you don't understand it, you turn it around. Writing about Ai Weiwei, when the exhibition of Ai Weiwei arrived here, that exhibition had been 4 years going around the world. Come on, if you write criticism about it, can you miss? But getting into an artist who's relevant, significant to Latin America and to the peripheral world, and trying to walk into those spaces and understand it and write, it was a big risk. So it's okay, but I must confess that I feel very proud. The exhibition will keep traveling, and I'm sure it's going to be understood. As I said, the essential component are the icons and the message that is transferred to the audience. Next. There's some things I don't agree with Rolando. He, for example, says that his first performance was when he had 7 years and he peed over an oil well in his city. That's his vision. But that relates, when he has the consciousness of what he did when he was a kid, is that he was convinced of his role as an artist, which usually does not stop. It's a lifestyle, and it's a life commitment. We find today many artists, and I was director of the Freedom Tower Museum. I had my offices in the New World School of the Arts, and I had the opportunity to meet young art students who I would say, what are you thinking to do next? You're going to get your BFA. And I was wishing and dreaming that the answer would be, I'll start to experiment on color and contrast. But it would be, I want to get a great gallery, become famous, and sell a lot. 4 years later, they were DJs. So commitment and being convinced is part of the performance experience. Last time I had the opportunity to meet with Rolando was 22 years ago when I was director of the Museum of Visual Arts in Venezuela, and we did a show on his experiments by then of science and art with IBM and the idea of the fractal theory using the barrel. After that, we never saw again. And 2 years ago, it was a Staples performance. We met in a coincidental way in front of a photocopier. The photocopier is an important component of his work because in the 60s, when no one was doing anything with the first photocopies, he was experimenting with the idea of the ephemeral image in a piece of paper. So it was a great coincidence 2 years ago to meet in front of a photocopier in Staples on Biscayne Boulevard, start talking, and half an hour later, already discussing the possibility of a project. A project that went through, and I wish to thank MOCA, its director, its staff, its team, that in a moment of conflicting processes in the museum environment, they believed. Because I think that a museum at the end is not a space to legitimize artists, it's a space for experimenting. It's a lab of the 21st century. So I think that Rolando has gone a long way in his life, giving the peripheral world an icon that is relevant in art history. I'm proud to be part of the experience. I wish to thank you all, thank him, and you're in Rolando's hands. Thank you. I have 3 questions for him, but we'll leave it to the end because it's about him.
Oh my God. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Buenos días, damas y caballeros. Madame, Monsieur, bonjour. Oof. I had to tell you the truth. My heart is on my head, you know. Thank you very much, Jorge. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I have so many things in my head to tell you. You know, I did a little bit of planning of something that I want to talk to all of you. But after Jorge talked, you know, I don't think I'm going to say much because, I mean, he said everything, and he said it very well. And sure, he said it much better than me. When I was very young, I always say that my mother was very, very angry with me because when I went out, when I was born, I told my mother that I was very angry with her. And I say, why? Because my diapers are white and I hate it. My diaper has to be black. So that's why I started the whole thing with black, all right? So when I went to the Lake of Maracaibo, there is the Grand Lake of Maracaibo with all the derricks and every, you know, the factory, crude oil for the entire civilization is there. I just peed me in the lake of Maracaibo near another punk. And after that, I say, this is my life. All right? I have to, you see, it's like a cruzada. I don't know how do you say in English cruzada, Jorge? Crusade. Like a crusade. You know, it's like a cruzada with the petrol, with the crude oil. So, and I say, I'm going to do that. But how did I going to do it? Well, I did so many things. I do dance, theater, at the University of Venezuela and everywhere. And I studied architecture. I didn't finish. I never finished nothing at all. You see, I was, touching everything. And it's something that I have in my mind always, you see. The art is not something that is pure, you see. If I am a photographer, I am a photographer. Or if I am a filmmaker, I am a filmmaker, you see. Or if I am a painter, I am a painter. If I do a sculpture, I do a sculpture pieces. I always refused that since I was very young. I always think that art is like life. And life is something that is very open. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not only one way. It's so many different ways to live, you see. And I believe that art is like life. Art life is the same, you see. And for that reason, I always touch everything. And I risk because I believe there is something beautiful in life is to risk. It's like love. It's like to make love. You see, it's like to get in love with someone. I've been in love many times. I've been married. I've been divorced. Now I have my angel sitting right there that I adore. This is my lady. This is the woman of my life is sitting right there. Carla, you see. And that's very important for me. And next to me is Raima. Raima is like my sister. And Jorge Helper is my brother. And Marisol Escobar that died. I'm going tomorrow to participate in a big homage to Marisol Escobar at the Lincoln Center. I have to do an introduction of that. You see, that's my life. And right now, my life is all of you. I mean, I feel so proud and so happy that I have so many great people sitting right here next to me. You know, and Sunday at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, when everybody in Miami is at the beach, or is sleeping, or is, I don't know what they do, eating, because people eat too fucking much. That's why they are so fat. They eat too fucking much. You know what I mean? They have to watch out why they eat so much shit, you know, honestly. And I think when people eat too much shit, it's something wrong with the head also, you know what I mean? So, I tell the people in Miami, don't eat so much and read, start to read books. I mean, go to gym, that's fantastic, go to the beach, but read it, for God's sake, you have to read, you know, you have to get educated, you know. So after that, I don't have to tell you that the thing that I do in art has to be with freedom. Freedom for me is very important to risk. We have to risk because life is a risk. Life is not something static. Life is move, and we have to move. It's like in the civilization, it's like in the world, it's like everything else. I really thank you very much. I thank very much the people from the museum, the director, well, it's not a director, it's some lady that is in charge to repeat all those great people. I thank very much Jorge Gutierrez, because this exhibition is made because of him, and I really appreciate that a lot. I thank him a lot, many, many times. I think now after that, we're going to do a performance piece. We're going to try to do something really fantastic for all of you. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're part of the performance.
No, but I'll
Don't
sit
leave.
here. I'll leave. I'll look.
Please. Raima Suprani, great caricaturista, Jorge Helper, a great musician. Carla, my angel, and everybody here.
kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Everything is holy. Everybody's holy. Everywhere is holy. Every day is in eternity. Every man's an angel. Holy, 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 holy. The world is holy. The soul is holy. The skin is holy. The nose is holy. The tongue and cock and hand and stupid holy. Holy, holy. Everything is holy. Everybody is holy. Everywhere is holy. Every day is in eternity. Every man's an angel. Holy, holy, holy. The bones as holy as the seraphim. The madman and holy as you, my soul, are holy. The typewriter is holy. The poem is holy. The voice is holy. The hearers are holy. The ecstasy is holy. Holy, 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 holy. Peter, holy. Holy Allen, Holy Solomon, Holy Lucian, Holy Keura, Holy Hook, Holy Borro, Holy Rolando Pena. Holy, holy, holy. Holy the unknown, vulgar, and suffering beggars. Holy the hero, human angel. Holy my mother in the insane asylum. Holy the cock of the grandfather of Kansas. Holy, 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 holy. Holy the groaning saxophone. Holy the Bob Apocalypse. Holy the jazz band's marijuana. Hipster peace young drums. Holy, 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 holy. Holy the solitude of skyscrapers and pavement. Holy the cafeterias filled with the million. Holy the mysterious river of tears on the street. Holy, 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 holy the young giorno. Holy the vast lamb of the middle class. Holy the crazy shepherd of rebellion. Holy, 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 holy. Judith, Los Angeles is Los Angeles. Holy New York, Holy San Francisco, Holy Peoria and Seattle, Holy Paris, Holy Tangos, Holy Moscow, Holy Istanbul, Holy Miami. Holy, holy, holy time in eternity, holy eternity in time, holy the cloud in space, holy the fourth dimension, holy the fifth international, holy the angel in Molech, holy the sea, holy the desert, holy the railroad, holy the locomotive, holy the vision, holy, 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 holy the hallucination, holy the miracle, holy, holy, holy the eyeballs, holy the abyss, holy, holy, holy forgiveness, mercy, charity, faith, holy, ours body, suffering, magnanimity, holy, 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 the supernatural, extra brilliant, intelligent, kindness of the soul of Allen Ginsberg, holy, 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 holy.
primo soprano. Cosa